All right, everybody, here we go. The bath commissioners are back, and quite a few things to talk about. Patrick, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Doing really well. Are we going to talk about forward-facing sonar again?
We are. Unfortunately, we are going to do it because everybody else is.
Yeah. Why? Why is this come back all of a sudden? Start us off.
So I'm sure a lot of people have seen, I know you've seen, all the pros are getting on there discussing, they're all making posts like, hey, what's y'all's opinion of forward facing sonar? Do you think it's boring? Do you think it's this? And every pro, for the most part, has come out, not all of them, but quite a few of them have come out on both sides, MLF, Bass Pro Tour, asking the same question. And Jordan Lee is the first one I see that came out and said, look, they're not going to get rid of it. It's going to stay in tournaments. He pretty much might as well get over it. He said it a little bit differently than that, but I don't understand everybody's hang up. Like everybody talks about how, oh, well, it's boring watching them stand on the front of their boat and stare down at a graph. Well, how is it any more exciting to watch them throw a crankbait 200 feet out into the water and then just sit there and reel it in, staring at the water, just chit-chatting? How is that any different? They're looking at a screen, they're staring at the water. You still can't see anything. At least with forward-facing sonar, with what they're doing now, it's syncing their actual view to where we can see it at home. You can actually see what they see, and it makes it kind of entertaining. I mean, unless they're throwing a frog on a top water, unless they're fishing a top water, there's not really much to watch other than the guys reeling. All of a sudden he goes, oh, got him, and sets the hook, which is the same thing that happens when they're looking at their forward-facing sonar. They're like, oh, got him, and they set the hook.
Oof. Yeah. You know, I don't really understand why this has become a topic again, other than, like you say, because people are talking about it. And here we go. Here we're talking about it. So we're just as guilty as the rest. You know, it's not an issue. Randy would like it to be an issue, but it's not. And you know, I think if you're going to make an argument that forward-facing sonar should not be used, then go get on a rowboat and go fish. You know, don't use a graphite rod. No, use a fiberglass rod. You know, if you're going to be, if you're going to be Ted Klaczynski or whatever and live up and be, was he the guy that was anti-technology?
Think so. I think that's
I don't know, but I mean, if you're going to be one of these guys that you know, just yells at kids for playing in your yard or whatever that is, then do it. But guys, this is where fishing's going. I'm very excited about it. I've got it on my new boat, and I know it's going to make me a better angler, because I'm going to figure out what fish are doing, and so I will be smarter. I will become more dangerous to the fish. I don't think the fish have anything to worry about, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, like, and I know we've kind of said this before, but you have side imaging, down imaging, 2D. You have live 360. You have the Humminbird 360. And all these other advancements in technology. I tied a crankbait that I've had since I was a young kid. And I remember I used to try to throw this crankbait on my old bait cast rods, and I could cast it about 5 feet because it was entirely too light. Mm-hmm. And then I put that on my crankbait rod that I have, and I flung that thing out there a pretty good ways because the reels are better, the rods are better. So everything's advanced. The reels, we have all these different, if you want to fish a jig, you need a 7.6 heavy rod if you're going to flip. But if you want to go throw a spinnerbait, then you want this rod. I mean, we walk around here with 20 different rods to throw 20 different types of lures and all these different gear ratios and reels, and all that's okay. Side imaging's okay. Spot lock, power poles, obviously some people complain about the number of grass, but 250 horsepower motors. We have all these things, map chips. I have a map chip now that I can type in some information in there. It's from Humminbird Lake Master, and it'll tell me little areas that I should concentrate on to go fishing. It's called Smart Strike, I think. And put in weather conditions, and whether it's winter, spring, summer, fall, clear skies, muddy water, and it gives me recommended areas that I should go fish. We have all this stuff out there that's available at our fingertips. And the one thing we focus on is forward facing sonar, which has actually been out for several years. And then
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, here we are this year, it's a problem. I don't get it.
Camus Boats, from the mind of Earl Bentz. Excellence, tradition, and service, all part of the Camus advantage. On the water perfection. This is your next boat. Build your next boat at camusboats.com. Ducket Fishing, pro-driven rods, reels, and baits. The choice of champions. Check out ducketfishing.com to see what everybody's talking about. Ducket Fishing, pro-driven. And by Bait Pop. From the good folks who bought you fish formula, easy to apply, a thick paste that stays on your bait and gives your bait that extra pop it needs. Check them out at theoriginalfishformula.com. Basco Fishing is the official wardrobe partner of the Bass True Anglers podcast. Basco is making bass fishing fun again. Check them out at bascofishing.com.
So the forward-facing sonar subject is nothing more than clickbait anymore.
Right.
It's not. This video, when I post it, I'm probably going to post something about forward-facing sonar. It's clickbait is all it is.
Right.
You know, it's what Randy loads up his channel on. And isn't that funny how we refer to him? I refer to him as just by his name, kind of like Pele or Messi.
What's funny is the number of people that call out Randy Blockett now in their podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's done it to himself. I don't feel sorry for him. It's just funny how when you talk about forward facing sonar, we always got to throw in Randy because he's the one that hates
because it's become clickbait. That's all it is.
Right.
It's not an issue. As Jordan Lee says, it's not going away, nor should it. It makes us better anglers. You know, I could go out there and not catch a fish all day, but if I watch that all day, I'm a better angler by the end of the day because I understand at least what they're not doing, and
right.
Yeah, you know, so yeah, it's nothing more than clickbait. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, you get this argument too from people who are like, we know the average fisherman can't afford to go out and buy all this stuff. Like, no offense, not every fisherman out there is going to qualify for the Bassmaster Elite Series or the Bass Pro Tour or whatever. So if they don't go buy forward-facing sonar, they're going to be just fine without it because guess what? You're probably not good enough to make it to the elite level anyways. And everybody talks like they're going to make it next week.
Hey, wait a minute now. Most of us can't afford to buy the things that we buy for any of our fishing, but we still do it, right?
That's true too.
Okay, then let's put that argument to rest because, I mean, I'm buying stuff that I shouldn't be buying because
100%, I have too. But it just irritates me when all these people are like, well, you know, they're putting all these extra graphs on there. Like just because Jordan Lee puts 3 graphs on the front of your boat doesn't mean that you and I have to put 3 graphs on the front of our boat. But these people get on there and talk like just because they did it, now you have to do it or else you're nobody.
Yeah. So what I'd really like to do is I'd like to steer this conversation away from the forward-facing sonar to the other subject about you know, how the tournament organizations are working with this, because I know that the tournament organizations are under some fire for how watchable the events are. And I mean, realistically, when when the tours go north and it becomes an offshore smallmouth event, yeah, it's kind of hard to watch sometimes. It's kind of hard to watch. I hear them talk about in the future putting the electronics on the screen. That might be interesting to watch. And that might actually make it very interesting to watch. But you know what it comes down to is if the organizations are concerned about fan, you know, and fans and watching and so on and so forth, then they can very easily schedule events that are more watchable. You know, as much as people want to complain about the Sabine River, that's pretty exciting stuff to watch. Because I mean, I know those fish. I know a 12-inch fish on the Sabine is like a Gunnersville 5-pounder.
Right.
But you know, that's pretty compelling. And so let's take a look right now at the tour. So both tours are out now with their schedules, and I'll start with the Bassmaster Elite Series. Their first event is at Toledo Bend in late February. It's going to be a forward-facing sonar event. I mean, there's going to be a lot of offshore fish, I think.
Yeah.
You think it is. The last week of February, March 29th, February 29th leading into March, Lake Fork. It's gonna be a forward-facing sonar event. Okay. Then they go in April to they go to Florida for a couple of events. Okay, it'll be fun. March 9th, Columbia, South Carolina. Is that what lake is that? I don't have that on my in front of me.
Oh, May 9th through the 12th.
It's Lake Murray. I'm sorry. Yeah, Lake Murray. There'll be a lot of forward-facing sonar fish caught there. And then they go to June, Wheeler Lake, and then June again, Smith Lake. These are forward-facing sonar events. And then they finish in up north. I mean, which of those is the Florida events are probably not forward-facing sonar events.
Yeah, that's probably going to be more of a post-spawn, maybe a little after that, actually.
Well, the Florida events are going to be shallow water events.
Right.
You're going to be casting to cover and fishing around grass and so on. And there might be some of that on those other events, but those other events are going to be won with forward-facing sonar. I think they are. Major League Fishing has their BPT tour schedule out. I actually think they were first this year. I think they got out before Bassmaster.
Yeah, they were first.
Wow. Oh, they're starting at Toledo Bend. What do you know? In late January. Well, that's gonna eliminate Keith Poche from having a chance, right?
Yeah.
But that figures to be a forward-facing sonar event, probably. Santee Cooper in mid-February. Oh, good. That's an event that's right on top of the Elite Series event. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Santee Cooper, that's probably not a forward-facing sonar event. That's probably a shallow water, kind of swampy type thing, right?
Yeah, they could, depending on the winter, they might be getting ready to spawn right about then. So there may be.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Stage 3 is at Dale Hollow. That's a new lake, but that sounds a lot like a forward-facing sonar event to me. Eufaula in Oklahoma in late April, early May. That sounds like forward-facing sonar. I know Kelly Jordan won the Invitational. I think it was in May.
Right.
There. And he didn't win it using forward-facing sonar per se. I know he uses electronics to find where he fished, but that sets up to be a forward-facing sonar event. I think the water could be way up there, and it might be more of a brush-related event, but I think it's going to be one. I think a lot of guys are going to fish that offshore stuff at that lake. Stage 5 in June, Chowan River. Never heard of that place before. I don't think it's a forward-facing sonar event. That's in Edenton, North Carolina. I don't think that's a forward-facing sonar. The James River, late June. That is not a
tidal fishery, right? So that's gonna be less.
Yeah.
That probably be forward.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think the James River is a forward-facing sonar event. There's a lot of backwater.
Right.
And I mean, there may be some places where you can get offshore and use the forward-facing sonar, but that to me feels like what I compare the James River to that I'm aware I compare it to like our delta here in California. Right. And our delta in California is I mean, I think guys can use their forward-facing sonar in some places, but for the most part, it's kind of a punch fest, shallow water frog kind of thing.
That's what the James River seems like to me. And then Major League Fishing goes up to St. Lawrence River to finish up. So to me, I don't see a lot of evidence that the tournament organizations are that concerned about the whole thing.
Right.
That tells me that they have numbers that they want and are happy with. And again, going back to the forward-facing sonar issue, it's not an issue.
No, I think people just need to get over it, and we need to move on and figure out better things to focus our attention on.
I mean, to say one last thing about it, I've already said I feel like the forward-facing sonar is clickbait now in everything.
Right.
I've seen Bass Zone Live. I've seen Zaldane's. I've seen, Randy, of course, our own. We all use forward-facing sonar in our title. It's become clickbait. And the other thing that I would say about it is that it's just not. It just does not seem like it's a big concern to the organizations because they are still putting the anglers on ponds where it's going to be a factor.
Right.
And I say good to that. Great.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a concern. I mean, that was kind of when I messaged you about it, like that's like every time I'd see one of these deals, I'm just going, why are we, let's just move on from it. Eventually these handful of people that are complaining about it, which again, like I said, here we are talking about it, but still like these handful of people that are complaining about it will eventually just get over it. And we'll get back to fishing and doing the things that we like to do. But I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think it's sticking around. The tournaments are there. There's a lot of money invested in electronics and people like to use it. And nobody was complaining about it until seems like this year here recently. So let's just go fishing.
I think what's probably going to happen for me is I'm going to walk across the stage of the first event I fish with no fish in my bag. And I'm going to say, yeah, I got to hand it to the forward-facing sonar. I was looking at it all day and I didn't remember to catch any fish.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I have it on my boat and there's still days that I go out there and I'm like, well, fished for 6 hours, didn't catch a thing. So forward facing sonar doesn't make them jump on the hook.
Okay. Is fan engagement a problem with professional bass tournaments? This sounds like something that the bass commissioners should examine a little bit. I mean, what do we do to get more fans involved, or do we need to?
I think so. I just, I agree, and we've kind of already made a ruling on this that the catch, weigh, and release format is the way to go. Yes, there's been some hiccups, which we discussed our last time we talked with the catching the same fish and all that kind of stuff. So some of that stuff's got to get figured out, and I agree with that. But a lot of fans like going to weigh-ins, and the one BPT event that I went to, which was on Lake Conroe, they used to, that was when they still brought them up on the stage. They'd come up on the stage, they'd talk to the fans about what was going on, like how their day went. And you got to see them on the stage and they were all up there and they left and they signed autographs. And that was fun for me. And obviously with Bassmasters, you could go to a weigh-in and watch them walk across the stage and all that kind of stuff, which would be, I mean, I haven't done it on a bass side. I've been to the Redfish Cup that the Bassmaster guys did last year, and that was fun. But I think we got to come up with something to keep the fans involved, to show up to an event and still be able to get that engagement, that interaction with the anglers. And maybe BPT still does a pretty good job of it. Unfortunately, they really haven't had a tournament close enough to me that I've gone to in the last few years. I mean, they've had some close. It's just I didn't drive up there, but that's my question: is when you get away from weigh-ins, what do we do to keep that fan interaction between the anglers and the fans that still want to be able to interact with the anglers?
I don't know. I kind of think professional bass fishing is the one sport where you can do that. Again, again, what causes you to drive to an event? I mean, essentially to see them launch their boats and put their boats on the trailer. I don't know if that's the kind of interaction that either organization even wants.
Right.
Maybe BASS does. I don't know, but okay. So usually there is some kind of outdoor exposition of some kind, whether it's whether it's local companies, selling
Right.
baits or things like that or whatever. Usually there's something along those lines at both BASS and Major League Fishing events. But I don't know that that's necessarily the crucial part of it. I think the fan interaction online is what both companies are looking at. And I don't know. I don't know if these events need to be made fan friendly. Like I said, what would compel me to drive, say, 2 hours to see a weigh-in? And I don't know. I don't know if
No,
that's something that would interest me or not.
and for me, like, when they were here, I got to meet Kevin Van Dam, shake his hand, get his autograph. I got to talk to Wesley Strader, Brent Ayler, Skeet Reese, and getting to meet these people in person for me, because Skeet Reese to me always seemed intimidating. Just listening to him talk, watching him, he just seemed really intimidating. And when I met him in person, my whole attitude of Skeet, not that I thought he was a bad guy, but I was just kind of like, man, this guy's probably, he'll run you off the water. I mean, I don't know. He just had that persona to me. And then when I met him, like, he shook my hand, he smiled and genuinely, hey, thank you for being here. We appreciate you coming out, and we had a quick, little short conversation, but that for me was awesome. And whether it needs to be at a weigh-in or something like that, even if it was an expo where they're selling baits like you're talking about, and I could show up to this event and I could meet some of the anglers and talk to them, because I've talked to Brent Ayler through Instagram and asked him questions and he's responded back and stuff like that. But actually getting to talk to these people in person was nice to me. And maybe not everybody feels that way, but I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Well, again, I don't think there's any other sport that allows fans to literally walk into the pits. I don't think you can even walk into the pits at a NASCAR event.
No.
But I mean, at a bass tournament, you can walk out to the parking lot. Guys are doing their tackle or whatever they're doing, and I mean, I think that is available already.
Right.
I just don't know of a sport where fans are able to mix with the competitors that way.
Right. I mean, I've gone to baseball games, football games, NASCAR races, and you're kind of like, oh, hey, look, way over there, there's such and such. I mean, I was at a baseball game not too long ago, and I turned around and looked behind me, and in a press box that I could have thrown my drink into because it was that close. And Roger Clemens was there, Jeff Bagwell's there, Craig Biggio's there, and you just kind of look up at him. But if that was a bass tournament, I could have walked over there and said, hey, Kevin, can I get your autograph? Or hey, Skeet, can I get your autograph? And they'd have given me their autograph. And I know the bass fishing's a little bit smaller and they don't necessarily have 60,000 fans there, 30,000 fans there necessarily all the time. But just that, like you said, that interaction with the anglers, and you get to meet them and talk to them, and they're signing autographs. Like even Mike Iaconelli, he irritated the crap out of me walking across that stage because he was mad about his date. I was like, come on, man. But then I turned around and watched that guy sign every autograph that everybody wanted, smiled, took pictures. He was back there forever. And I was like, okay. And this is when I was first kind of really started paying attention to Ike, and I learned about how passionate he was. And that's just the type of person he was. And when I saw all that, it made me go, okay, you know what? Ike's not such a bad guy. He's loud, he's vocal, he's a lot louder than I would be. I'm just kind of like, oh man, that's a nice fish. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs for everybody to hear it. But just getting to see that interact, like you said, you don't get that in other sports. And that's something that I hope we don't lose in bass fishing.
Yeah. I know that some events, sometimes organizations will have like a country music show or something like that, that they kind of is tied to the event or something like that. Certainly, I'm sure those are the kind of things that are set up that way to get some more fan intervention. I don't know if we have a ruling on this necessarily. I am kind of interested in talking about this next subject that you brought up, the idea that tournaments need to be conducted in every season. Now that to me is fascinating. One of the things that we can note on both schedules that we talked about is that the tournament season for both BASS and Major League Fishing, those tournaments are over in August.
Yep.
You got a pre-spawn tournament, you've got a lot of spawn events, you've got some post-spawn events, and then you've got some summer events. And I always laugh at this. I always laugh at this because to me, these organizations who I'm sure are under pressure of anglers, they always kind of ignore, for me, what is the most difficult season of all, and that's the fall.
Right.
We're not even talking about the winter, but the fall to me is where it gets really, really tough. Now, going back to that COVID year, when the events were postponed, I really enjoyed that COVID year.
Right.
Man, someone's going to make a soundbite out of that. I really enjoyed that COVID year. No, I enjoyed watching those high stakes events being put on lakes in that really tough time of the year to fish, which was the fall. Frank Talley winning at Guntersville, up the river. Nobody fishes up there.
Right.
They get out on ledges, but Frank ran up that river and caught him on a bladed jig, and that was cool. I don't think the anglers like that because the fishing was not easy.
And I'm not saying that you need to have 3 tournaments in the fall, but it would be nice if they held 1 tournament in the fall. Because like I go out on, my lake, the water temperature is 95 degrees. And I'm thinking to myself, because I'm not catching anything, and I'm going, I wonder what they'd be doing. Like, what would they be trying to do? How well would they perform out here? And obviously, my lake sets up more for an MLF style because they split the group and it's 40 anglers and 40 anglers. And Lake Conroe is kind of a smaller lake. I mean, that's why the Bassmasters Classic worked on it, because it's a smaller lake too. But and I know they're trying to showcase the best fisheries and put on a great show, and you want to see big fish caught, but every once in a while, it'd be nice if they went to one of these lakes, especially with a catch, weigh, and release, because I'm not asking you to catch a fish in 95-degree water, drop it in your live well and dump ice in there and do all this other stuff. You're able to catch it, weigh it, let it go, and go on about your business. So why not try one of these fisheries where it's tough? And hey guys, you're gonna have to work for it, and you might catch 15 pounds, and that's gonna be a heck of a bag, and you might be in the top 10 with 15 pounds of fish versus, well, I caught 35 pounds of bass and I didn't make it.
There's a very sick side of me that would like to see one of the professional organizations put an event on Lake Paris in Southern California on Labor Day. All those jet skiers out there and all those all the extra drinking at the launch ramp and stuff like that. And then of course, nothing but small fish, nothing but small below keeper size fish. That's ridiculous. But no, I agree with you. I would think that it would be better. We'd be better served. I'm looking forward to the rest of this season. We've got a couple of opens left. I think this one that's starting this week at Watts Bar, that open should be a really serious grind up there in Tennessee. And then BASS later in September has an open on Table Rock. That should be a grind. I think there's a Toyota Series event also on Table Rock coming up later in the fall. Those are going to be, I think those are going to be tough events.
Yeah, you have 2 opens in September and 1 in October. They go to the Harris chain October 12th through the 14th.
So they go down to Florida. Yeah. Yeah.
So we can make the people in the opens do it. I mean, I get it. Some of these pros, they like to go hunting and they like to do that kind of stuff. And I like to go hunting too. But I have to work in October, November, December, and January. So if I ask you to take 1 week or a week and a half out of your hunting to go spend it in, you know, and y'all can get together and come up with a consensus like, hey, if this is opening weekend of this season, the first week of September, and you don't want to go that fish a tournament, that's fine. We can schedule around that. But hey, go out there and catch some fish. Let's see it. I mean, make a grinder tournament and have fun. We're up there grinding for everything you can get, and we can watch you. I don't know. I mean, I fish all times of the year, so give us a show.
Well, you know, at the risk of repeating myself, something that I've talked about for a couple of years now is I would love to see a unification tour. Let the tournament organizations have their tournaments ending in August, and then we take the top 10 from the Elite Series, the top 10 from the BPT, and they have a little four event tour in the fall to determine who really is the top angler. I like that unification stuff. I don't know if we're ever gonna see it, but that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be. I don't know. I think that's the kind of stuff when these leagues are talking about the fans and trying to engage the fans and keep the fans happy. And it's not the forward facing sonar thing's not going to change that. That's the kind of stuff to me you got to look at is doing something interesting to make it fun, make it, you know, hey, we're going to take the top 20 from Bass and the top 20 from MLF. And you know what? Fine. We'll get the top 20 from the NPFL also, and we'll have us a little grinder tournament between these 3 series, and we'll see who the best is.
Yeah. If only I had $5 million.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Yeah. Well, all right, Patrick, you got anything else? We're getting a little short on time here.
No, I think we covered it all. I think it was a good one.
All right. Well, we didn't make any rulings this time, but I do think we established that forward-facing sonar is no longer a topic. It is simply clickbait.
There
Clickbait,
we
by
go.
the
That's
way.
the ruling.
Clickbait, by the way. Yeah, there you go. There's a ruling. Clickbait, by the way, that I will use in the title of this video. And yeah, it's not an issue. It's not an issue anymore. All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Take care.
All right. You too.